Can't hear you, Ann.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine to order at 5 p.m. on Monday, June 1st.
This meeting is being recorded.
We are meeting electronically in the council chambers at the Municipal Administration Center. I am here in the Municipal Administration Center, as is our clerk, Donna McDougall, and our technician, Jennifer White. I was just going to review the suggestions that we used last time as far as the meeting. So as you remember, we'll vote differently. The clerk will call everyone's name. And then for discussions, every council member will get a chance to comment or ask a question the first time around. And then those councillors that wish a follow-up comment or question can be next, and I'll record who wants to speak until everybody's had a chance. And the policy chairs, I'll try and remember if it's concerning your area that is introduced, I'll have you speak first and remind me if I forget. I'll try and do it that way. So Councillor Glover had asked to speak, and with council's concurrence, I can grant his request before we start the meeting.
Mayor Edie, did you take roll call?
Oh, sorry. I have to do roll call first. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Present.
Councillor Couture.
Present.
Councillor Kyler. Councillor Glover.
Present.
Councillor Haight.
Present.
Councillor Kennedy.
Present.
And Councillor Stewart.
Present.
Yes, and I'll do the staff just a second. So, Councillor Ropel, I just wanted to talk to you. Make sure that I notice that you want to speak, or because you're on the phone below and the rest are above. So, Councillor Ropel, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Ann, and I'm here.
All right, thank you.
And Mayor Edie, I believe Councillor Kyler has joined the meeting.
Oh, okay. Councillor Kyler? Are you here, Councillor Kyler?
He's on the screen, has to unmute himself.
I'll get used to the chat. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. And for staff present, Sharon Chambers, our CAO.
Present.
And of course, Donna's here. Roxana Bauman, our treasurer.
Present.
Michelle Barr, Director of Building and Planning.
Present.
Karen Kiefer, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Present.
Kevin McNeely, Fire Chief.
Present.
Adam Weiser, Director of Public Works.
Present.
Did I miss any staff? Okay, so I think that's everybody. So I asked for council's concurrence to allow Councillor Glover to speak as he has requested.
I'm okay with it, Maureen.
Yes.
Okay, I'll
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
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 All right. So the floor is yours, Councillor Glover.
Thanks, Your Worship, and thanks to members of council. First, I just want to preface this. I rehearsed this today in terms of time. It shouldn't take me more than 2 minutes, so I'll try to be quick. I also just want to disclosure here. I'm not looking amongst council for soapbox moment. That's not what this is intended for me, but for me, to council and to the mayor, I want to really recognize that from the last council meeting, it was not intended how I thought it was going to be. And I think for me, it was displaced frustration, and that was inappropriately directed to the mayor and maybe some others around the result of the beach closure. I did go back from that previous meeting to refresh my recollection from some of the stuff we spoke of, and I noted in the CAO's comments that an order was an option that may be considered by the medical officer of health. But I also recognize that in this instance, the authority for head of council, in this instance, the mayor, under the Emergency Management Act and our own policies, in some instances for decision-making authority has to be fluid for the health and safety. And so sometimes there's a disconnect. And I just feel that the communication surrounding this matter could have been smoother to provide council members with a heads up leading into the long weekend in terms of communicating in this instance from when the order transitioned from being an option to going into full force, seemingly at the 11th hour. I appreciate the scrambling of staff who pivoted in response to this 11th hour order. And I just would have been nice to ensure that we were all on the same page when providing clarity and answers to the public's questions amidst some ambiguity. I also want to acknowledge that, Joe, as a point going forward, I appreciate Sharon's regular pandemic updates. And for myself, I'd like to understand going forward how we as council can mitigate misunderstandings to have better sense of communication between council and the various stakeholder groups currently involved. And perhaps one step in the right direction, as I understand it from the emergency control group policies, that we should have regular updates to council. So if that's available, I'd like to have that information as well, so I can make every informed decision going into things and we don't sort of get into the weeds like last meeting. But I also understand that these are challenging times and information is ever changing, and recognize inadvertently that our staff get caught in the middle of our ambiguity when we get into the weeds, if we have some discord. And I just want to acknowledge everyone's contributions. We just need to do better keeping informed. That said, I'd like to publicly apologize to Anne for, reacting maybe a bit more for the misunderstandings, as well as to Sharon, because I think that, sometimes she's caught in our crosshairs, and, she did provide us an update. I made a note of it. And I certainly was not in a position to confirm that at the last council meeting. So just recognizing my faults, and I'll hold myself a bit more accountable, and apologize to council and Anne for getting into the weeds and doing a better job going forward. So just thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jerry. It is tough times, and sometimes we have to move quicker than anticipated. But I do want to say that we have a top-notch communication committee. I think if we compared ourselves to some other councils, our staff, sends out daily updates. Sharon sends out pretty well daily updates, no matter how late it is. And she's backed by a really good communications committee. So thank you. Now we'll move on. Are there any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from the agenda? Hearing none, does anybody have a disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? The adoption of the minutes from the regular and special meetings of council.
Moved by Marie Wilson, seconded by Doug Kennedy, that the minutes of the council meetings held on May 20th, 2020 be adopted as printed. Councillor Couture.
Yes.
Kyler. Dave.
Yes. Sorry.
Edie.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Haight.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Ropel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
And the motion carried. Does anybody have any notices of motion tonight? Hearing none, we'll move into committee of the whole.
Moved by Dave Kyler, seconded by Laura Haight, that council move into committee of the whole and upon completion return to council. Kyler.
Oh, sorry, Ann? Ann?
Yes.
I'll tell you, I'm having trouble with my laptop. Did the same thing the last time. I've had to re-enter twice. And there was something I did want to bring up tonight. I'm sorry, but I had to go in and out again. So I'm not sure what's going on. But anyways, is there something that we could talk about for 5 minutes? With council's permission, paramedics in Renfrew County, where I have family that I've read about, seen on the news, talked to different people about, and with communities with not enough doctors for their people, I think it'd be worthwhile looking into, and I just wouldn't mind running a couple ideas by council. It'll be short.
Okay, so that would be in committee of the whole.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So we can add it there. Okay.
Thank you.
I will second that.
Well,
Okay.
I don't think we have a motion yet because I
Oh.
think he's going to add that to committee of the whole, correct?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes. Yep.
Apologize.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'll call this committee of the whole. Where are we?
No,
Donna?
no, we're taking the vote on moving into committee of the whole.
Okay. So did you want to start again? I can't
Yeah.
see Donna tonight. She's way out the back.
So Kyler, I think you already voted, but Kyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes.
Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
and Couture.
Yes.
The motion carried. So I'm going to call this committee of the whole meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine to order. And it is 5:11. And it's Monday, June 1st. Are there any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from the agenda? So Councillor Kennedy, did you want to, if you could move that we add something to the agenda here? Just a sec, you have to unmute.
Just takes a second.
Okay, can you just say it again?
Yes. I'd just like to talk about the possibility of paramedics working with doctors in the field to help out our shortage of doctors.
Okay, could we have a seconder?
I'll second it, Jerry.
Okay. I guess all in favor.
Yes.
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 Just a minute, I have to have Donna do it. Right, Donna?
Yes, so it's moved by Doug Kennedy, second by Jerry Glover. Regarding paramedics working with doctors in the field to help out the doctors. So Edie,
Yes.
Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler.
Yes.
That's it.
The motion carried. Okay, I just lost something on my my screen here. So next is disclosure of pecuniary interest for the committee of the whole. Seeing none, we go to the adoption of the minutes for committee of the whole.
It's moved by Maureen Couture, second by Randy Ropel, that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on May 20, 2020 be adopted as printed. Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Edie.
Yes, and the motion carried. Next, we have our first report, 6.1, which is Public Works, and it is the fleet. Excuse me here, I just need to go over. So the fleet 1 tons tender from Public Works, and I'll ask Adam to give his report.
Thanks, Mary. So the report before council relates to the capital budget item to replace 2 1-tons in our fleet. Council had included and approved $140,000 each unit at $70,000 within the capital budget. So we put a tender together and went out for bidding. Unfortunately, we were hoping to get this out sooner in the year because we do have 2 trucks that are essentially not roadworthy at this point, and are going to be exploring temporary options for those units as the trucks from both vendors in terms of bid submission could not commit to a timeline due to COVID-19. So in regards to the bids that were received, on our last 1-ton that we purchased a few years back, we put a spec together that amalgamated or combined the 2 components, so being the truck and chassis along with the dump body. We found that there were some difficulties in that process, having them combined. It omitted some dump body vendors from the ability or comfort to bid. And then it also, after we received closure of the truck, we ran into some issues with the dump body vendor and had a challenge in dealing with them through the dealership. So to make things cleaner and simpler for all parties, we segregated the two. So we received a total of three bids for the truck and chassis, one from Jim Wilson Chevrolet of Aurelia and two from Montgomery Ford. All were compliant bids. And then we received two bids for the dump bodies, one from Commander Industries, which is located in Strathroy, and the other from Eloquip, which is just outside of the Elora area. We looked into reference checks on the dump body vendors, and both had good reviews. And so what we have for council is a recommendation to award to the low bidders for both the truck and chassis for 2 trucks, and for the dump bodies for 2 dump bodies for both of those trucks. So awarding it to Jim Wilson Chevrolet and then to Commander Industries for the dump bodies. And within the report, we noted that we are slightly over budget. The total expenditure that was approved again was 140,000, and we came in at 141,000 and change. So to fund the just shy of $1,500, we're recommending that the cost overage be funded from the Bruce Telecom dividend.
Okay, thank you, Adam. And Councillor Stewart is the policy chair for this area, so I'll start with him, followed by Randy, and I'll just go around if anybody else has a comment. Okay, Councillor Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor Eady. Ann and I had an opportunity on Friday to review this. I fully support this overage of about 1,300 and some odd cents. So I support this motion completely. Thank you.
Randy, do you wish to speak?
I have no problem with this. I think Adams did lots of legwork on this, and he's definitely shown us that we can spend taxpayers' dollars very efficiently. So thank you, Adam, and good luck.
Right. Laura?
I'm good.
And Doug? Okay, Marie?
I support the recommendation.
Dave? Can't hear you, Dave.
That's fine with me.
Okay. And Maureen?
That's fine with me too.
And Jerry?
As well, I support it.
Okay. So I'll ask Donna to read the recommendation, the mover and seconder and the recommendation then.
The recommendation is, it's moved by Jerry Glover and seconded by Bill Stewart, that Committee of the Whole recommend that Council proceed as per recommendation in report and consider as a matters arising. So for the vote, Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
The motion carried. Next, we move to emergency services, and I will turn it over to our fire chief, Kevin McNeely. And it's regarding a new fire department tanker.
Thank you, Mayor Eady. Good evening, members of council. I put together a brief report on a change of thought, actually. Back in 2018, the previous chief had a recommendation, which was approved by council, to procure a tanker pumper vehicle and place it in the Tiverton Hall. Since myself coming there in February, we've done a review on a lot of things, and we felt at the end of the day that maybe was not the best decision, and we would like for council to reconsider, because there are some other priority items that need to be addressed. And number 2 is technically, I believe we can rebody the current tanker out of the Kincardine Hall at a fraction of the price. So in my report, I did give you some other items. There's 14 items that I truly believe that I would say they're a very high priority. Some of them have to do with safety, operational, as well as being able to provide better service for the citizens in Kincardine and Tiverton areas. So that's pretty much all I have to say at this point. So I'm not sure if
Okay.
Councillor Ropel wants to chime in or.
That's fine. We'll start with Councillor Ropel. If you have any questions or comments, Councillor Ropel, because he is the policy chair for emergency services.
Well, first of all, Kevin, thank you. And just to let council know, I had recently a very lengthy discussion with Kevin with respect to the 14 issues that are on our plate tonight to look at with respect to the truck issue. And I think that's great to have different options for council to look at. I know that he's put a lot of time in interviewing the firefighters and to find out what major issues that we as elected officials, as well as he as the fire chief, should be looking into. And I agree. These are essential issues that we should be addressing. Whether it's tonight or not, but we're going to have to address them anyways. And I would certainly ask council to support the items with one condition. Now you'll notice when you look over the items here, where are we here? I'll go down. Number 10, training building complex funding. And we're asking for $65,000 to go towards the fire training. In past years, as I sat on council, and I think a few others did, there's been some optimism with respect to this project, but I think it's needed. The only thing that I would ask council at this time, if we approve the listing here as it's laid out, that we put that amount of money for that number 10 project into an account on its own, and that the money not to be spent until such time as we receive the plan for this project, and that council has an opportunity to review it and approve it. That's the only other obstacle that I would like to put in here. Other than that, I'm fine. Like I said, Kevin's did a lot of work here. This did not come easy. So for me, all I'm asking you is to consider the items. If you want to approve them tonight, I'm going to. I will definitely support it. But and the other caveat is to have that amount of money in that one account set aside, and not to be released until such time as council gives an opportunity to review the plan and approve it. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Randy. Laura?
I'm just, Randy, I'm not sure whether the question is for you or for Kevin. I had thought that the reason the training facility had sort of dropped down on the priorities list was because Bruce Power had opened up their training facility for use by municipal departments. Is that no longer the case?
I can answer that, Councillor Ropel, if you wish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since coming in February, I've had quite a few discussions about the Bruce Power facility. I think from what I've been told so far, it's very limited to what we can use it for, and it's very limited throughout the year when we can use it. So it's not as convenient as a lot of people may think it is. And I do agree it is an excellent industrial type facility, but it doesn't capture the residential type industrial commercial setting that we have within the municipality. So it's really geared a lot more towards factory type situations, but they do have an excellent burn facility that we will always take advantage of rather than sending people up to Gravenhurst to the fire college.
Can I follow up on that?
Yeah.
Rather than do two motions tonight on the financial implications, I'd rather support the motion with the truck and that adjustment, and then ask staff to come back on the priorities list and that establishment of that reserve.
All right. Thanks, Laura. Next, Doug.
I'd like to speak to Anne, Maureen.
Yeah, I'm going right around.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There's a method to my madness here.
Oh
Doug.
no, I'd like to support Randy's idea there about the motion and just getting a report on the training building completion funding. Thanks.
Okay, Marie.
I'm fine with the recommendation and also with Randy's proposed amendment to it.
Okay, Dave.
I don't think we should give up on our own training facility for the simple fact that we've put a lot of money into it already. And like the fire chief said, it is very hard sometimes to work your training in with the schedule at the hydro plant. So, you know, it is a wonderful facility up there. It's everything and more that the one that was in Blythe. But if you can't go when you need to go, then there's no sense in it being available. But no, I agree with everything. I've looked at this list of recommendations to do with the money that we have saved by going the opposite direction on the tanker, and I agree with it 100%.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Maureen.
It's just a question, Kevin. What are the shipping containers for storage?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Are the shipping containers for storage?
Yes. I guess at one time there was a container at the Tiverton Hall, but it got moved to Kincardine. The Tiverton Hall is extremely cramped, and there are some things that if they were moved out of the way, it might be definitely a safer environment at 3 o'clock in the morning when they're scrambling around vehicles. Some of the current vehicles that are in there now, bumper to bumper, pretty much go from the door to the back wall. So trying to free up a little bit of space, clean up some of the housekeeping issues and stuff, and maybe bringing a little more pride into the hall. I think it's all good. And I did get feedback from quite a few of the Tiverton firefighters that they definitely miss having that there. And, you know, it's a very, very simple fix, and that's why I brought it forward.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Jerry?
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship. Through Your Worship to Chief Neely, I just have a question. Could you just give me your, I'm not questioning this at all, but could you just give me your rationale for the recommendation of Nomex coveralls versus, say, more of a generic shop coverall? And then I have a follow-up as well.
So at one point in time, the department had gone down that road having Nomex. Now, Nomex obviously gives you fire protection for grass fires. One thing about bunker gear in the summer, it's extremely hot and heavy to wear. The Nomex is much lighter, but still provides the fire protection. And I guess over time, some of the other members had left, and it's kind of a good portion have them, but the other portion doesn't have them. I'm just trying to get a level playing field. Definitely believe in the protection that it offers. And again, the numbers that I've put down on this page, until we do the final assessment of everything, those numbers, that's the worst case scenario numbers that are on that document. It could be less.
And then follow up as well, please, Anne.
Yes.
I just want to say, like, certainly a consensus by council, but from a labor relations staffing perspective, some of these issues that you've brought forward, Chief, you know, aside from the training facility, which I support as well, but many of the issues you brought forward from a labor relations perspective are a bit historic in nature. And myself, I certainly support the motion if it's separating it out for the fire truck, but I would also propose that we approve the 14 items as well. And I would support that this evening because some of these are historic administrative tasks that have been outstanding for many years by the fire department and has brought us to sort of the current state that we're in right now. So I appreciate the work that you've done, Chief, and the reinvestment opportunity surplus proposals, and I would support this in the whole heart tonight if that was the consensus of council or wait. But I think at the end of the day, we're going to be approving this in its entirety anyways.
Okay, thank you. Bill?
Thank you very much. Fire Chief, amazing. I find that, we had $400,000 in the budget and you came with a new option for us and saved us $240,000. We're still maintaining what we want was a new tanker truck. So congratulations. And it allows us now to take a look at some of the shortfalls with this equipment. And as Randy said, I have no problems. I think that we should go ahead and authorize all the expenditures for the other equipment. And as Randy said, maybe the training thing, we will sort of authorize or at least leave that $65,000 in the reserve with the understanding that you'll come back and just give us a few more details, but it'll be in the fire hall reserve. When you do come back, we can approve that part of that motion too. So I'm in full support of this, as Randy stated.
Okay, and for myself, I just had a question. You were talking about the Bruce Power training facility. I have been up there for a demonstration, so was Randy and maybe some other members of council. So I was just wondering, is it possible to go up there like once a month for training, or you'll probably have to book a couple of months ahead? I was just going to ask our fire chief that. And also the total cost of a typical fire training facility in the area. I'm trying to think of others in the area that would be something like, or if you don't have information, then maybe it could be brought back on that. So that's the two things I was wondering.
So from what I understand currently from my deputy chiefs is that the offer with Bruce Power typically is a 1 or 2 day event once a year. And I would have to get back to you on other facilities, what they charge, but typical like Fire College or some of the larger areas, they charge like $1,000 a day just to use a burn tower. But obviously you've got to travel great distances and take equipment, and then that's no longer available in town should something happen. So I do definitely agree with Councillor Ropel and many of the other councillors. Until I see a plan on where the remaining money is going to get spent and is it justifiable, I would just like the money earmarked for now, but I definitely would not make any decision until it was brought back to council with a solid plan to bring it to an end so we can move on.
Okay, thank you. And a ballpark cost and estimate. We have discussed this before, but I have a great suspicion that the cost will have gone up considerably since then. So as far as our recommendation then maybe with the recommendation, as some of you have suggested, that the current approved capital budget item for the replacement of a new fire department tanker be reconsidered, and the alternate proposal as set out in this report be approved, as well as the main items, except for we want more how do you want to word that, our clerk? Donna?
I was just going to base it on what Councillor Ropel had indicated. Okay. So his wording, as I recorded, was that the recommendation be amended to indicate the $65,000 for the training building completion funding be set aside and only released when plans provided to council and approved.
Okay, sounds good. So do we have a mover and seconder for that,
We
Donna?
do. It is moved by Doug Kennedy, seconded by Marie Wilson.
Okay.
Okay, and we start with Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes.
Glover, Haight.
Yes.
And the motion carried. Thank you. Now we move to 6.3, other areas of responsibility. And we'll ask our CAO, Sharon Chambers, to provide her update on the COVID-19 and declared emergency. So Sharon?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So my update for this evening starts with the beaches issue. And as you may know, Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Era, rescinded the public health order requiring the closure of beaches on Thursday at 12 noon. So at that time, staff reposted the beach closure signage, which states that the beach is closed except for walk-through exercise purposes. And this reflected the April 15th clarification in the all police chief's memo that was received from the Solicitor General. At the Kincardine Emergency Control Group meeting on May 27th, the control group discussed the lack of clarity with respect to permitted activities under the provincial order regarding beaches. And the committee requested that South Bruce OPP Inspector Krista Miller request a ruling from the province on what constitutes exercise and whether swimming and water sports are permitted. And subsequently, Inspector Miller has provided a response to us that she received from the provincial COVID-19 enforcement support line. And of interest in that response, it states that beaches generally do not fall into any of the listed categories, and therefore the order would not prohibit the entry or use of beaches. It may be relevant to note that as of May 19th, 2020, the following outdoor recreational amenities located on beaches are closed, regardless of whether they are publicly or privately owned. And that includes all outdoor playgrounds, play structures and equipment, all outdoor pools, whirlpools, spas, splash pads, spray pads, wading pools, and water slides, all communal facilities intended to be used by persons using outdoor sports amenities, with the exception of those listed on the essential business list, and all portions of parks and recreational areas containing outdoor fitness equipment. Individuals may continue to walk through or use areas of beaches that are not otherwise prohibited from use or closed, for example, to exercise or walk pets. Individuals should be encouraged to maintain a safe physical distance of at least 2 meters from others. And of course, the provisions around the groups of no more than 5 people still apply, and the OPP will be enforcing that. So in essence, there really are no restrictions on beach usage other than gatherings of more than 5 and certain amenities that are located on the beach. So in the absence of a provincial or public health order or municipal bylaw, we really don't have any authority at this point to close the piers, which are also currently posted as closed. And so staff will remove those barricades as of tomorrow because we really don't have the teeth to be able to enforce that closure. Now, council does have the option to them to pass a bylaw if they so choose. So if you feel that unfettered use of the beach will invite tourism and day trippers, and that's a concern, you do have that ability to restrict certain activities on the beach or to close the beach. As Dr. Eric indicated on May 20th in his presentation, the solicitor for Grey County has drafted a bylaw which he now has circulated to all lower tier municipalities in Grey and Bruce for their consideration. The bylaw, we did receive it on Friday. It isn't specific to beach closures. Instead, it's a uniform municipal trespass bylaw that can be used to enable enforcement of closure of beaches or other municipal facilities. And it does the following. It authorizes the CAO to close a wide range of municipal facilities during a declared emergency and to give notice of those closures to the public. It requires closures to be carried out when ordered by the medical officer of health and to give notice of those closures. It states how notice can be given in order to be effective under the bylaw. It does create offenses for people who are present in a closed facility and for those who obstruct or hinder enforcement personnel in their duties. And it provides penalties for those offenses, including possible set fines. Now, there is a process for having set fines approved, and Grey County's Legal Services Department has done some consultation on that to see what the timelines would be. And so they were in touch with the Ministry of the Attorney General, and they do advise that they are currently prioritizing bringing these requests for fine approval forward to the regional senior justices. Typically, the process takes 2 to 3 months, so I don't know if it would be expedited more quickly than that, but it certainly would take some time to put forward a bylaw, have council consider it. We should certainly have our own legal review any bylaw that council may consider. And then we would also have to look at enforcement of such a bylaw. We could certainly do that with our own staff, but it would be difficult to do so on a 24/7 basis. We could enter into an agreement with EOPP to enforce a bylaw. However, Krista Miller indicated that they would need to see a copy of our bylaw and have it reviewed by their legal before they would commit to any enforcement. So I have not sought a legal opinion. I was going to, sorry, I'm just, I was going to wait to see whether council had any interest and are seeking some direction from council on this matter.
Councillor, do you have some questions of you? Are you fine with that right now? You can.
Yes, sure.
Okay. All right. So this time we'll start with our deputy mayor. Marie, do you have any questions or comments?
I do have a question. It's not really towards the beach closures, but I was wondering, we had talked at the last meeting about some of the facilities that we were working towards reopening, and we had mentioned the Blue Water Trailer Park. So I would just like an update on where we are with it and whether or not a date has been picked yet when occupants or owners of these facilities could come up and see how they've wintered, because there had been some talk of that last week.
Okay,
Yes,
so Marie, can we just do what you, if you can just save that and let's just concentrate on the beaches
on
first.
The beaches?
Yeah. If
Okay.
you have any...
Yeah, well, so with respect to the bylaw, I'm not in favor of the bylaw at all.
Okay, Councillor Couture. Oh, sorry, Councillor Kyler.
Yeah,
If you have a question for Sharon as well, or anything on.
Well, I guess it's not really a question. It's just my thoughts about the beach being closed, if that's all right.
Sure.
I don't think it's really very fair that people can't go swimming, and yet people can go surfing and kayaking and canoeing and everything else. Not that I want to. I just think everybody should be treated the same and have the option. If they want to swim, they can. Here in Kinloss opened their beaches, and then ours are closed. So here in Kinloss will likely end up with an influx of people from Kincardine going down there to swim. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Okay.
Mary, may I just clarify?
Yes.
So our beaches are not closed at the moment. We still have posted them that they are permitted for walkthrough purposes, but after receiving the clarification from Inspector Miller on Friday, really the provincial order does not have any restrictions on beach access and usage other than those particular facilities that I listed earlier in my report. So I believe we would have to actually change the signage again to reflect what the provincial order is if council does not decide to proceed with the bylaw.
Okay, so really the beaches are open for swimming and all activities right now. We just have to change the signage so people aren't confused. I've had people ask me, are the beaches open or closed? So after the order was rescinded. So I think we need to be fair to our own residents and make that clear. Okay?
Yes, because the order that I saw didn't have swimming in it, had everything else but swimming. So that was why I thought we weren't allowed to swim.
Yeah, so our emergency control group did ask about that too. So it's good to have clarity.
Okay.
And Maureen?
I wouldn't think it would hurt to have it in our back pocket. I'm not saying we enforce it. We could have a bylaw that we might need to use from time to time for different facilities, including the beach. And that way we wouldn't be hanging on with a 60-day or a 90-day enactment period when we need it sooner than that. I personally don't think that we should be closing it right now or use the bylaw right now. But there may come a time when we need to. So to have it on the books, even with set fines, would be, I think, helpful to staff and council down the road if we need it again. So I guess that's a two-part response, but I'd like to see it put in place so that we can use it if we need to. Now, can you clarify for me, Sharon, that if we pass such a bylaw that doesn't actually close the beach, it just gives us the opportunity to do so in the future if we need to?
Yes, the draft bylaw that's been circulated by Grey County essentially just delegates the authority to the CAO to close facilities if they're needed. Certainly that would be in an emergency situation. In light of where we're at now, it's something we could certainly discuss with council, and council could direct that, no, we feel for whatever reason we want to close the beach or another municipal facility. You could then do so under that bylaw, and then you've got all your remedies there and your penalties, and you're able to immediately enforce versus, as you said, having to wait that 60-day period or longer to get approval of set fines.
And then I would suggest that we do have a bylaw prepared and keep it in abeyance.
Okay, thank you, Maureen. Jerry?
If I could screen share with Maureen, everything she said was on my list. This is clearly a no-brainer. This is part of the sensitivity leading to a long weekend. We just need it as another tool in the toolbox at our disposal down the road or for future council. So fully support a bylaw.
Bill? Thank you, Jerry. Councillor Stewart? Oh, he's okay. Okay. Just need to, can't hear you, Bill.
There you go. Going back. Sorry about that. No, I can't support a bylaw. You know, when it takes 2 or 3 months to actually get any sort of teeth around the bylaw, we're talking 1st of September. And, you know, I'm not sure if I want our only sort of type of bylaw officer going out there and issuing tickets. Doesn't sound like we get the OPP really supporting this either. So I just think it's a waste of time right now to even go ahead with a sort of a beach bylaw. I've been going up and down the beaches in Ward 2, and to be honest with you, in the last week, I hardly see anybody even on the beach. And if they are, they're just walking their dog or walking very small groups and everything. I think that, you know, there's a huge respect in our community for social distancing and everything else. And I really do think that we need to just let this go for now. And I can't support a bylaw at all at this time.
Okay, Randy?
Well, I have to agree with Maureen. We don't have to utilize the bylaw today, but lessons learned and mistakes made, what we're going through right now, I agree. I think we need some sort of a bylaw put into place so that if we get it put into a position that we are right now, that we as a municipality and as elected officials have leverage to address it.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Laura?
I don't think I can support a bylaw. Meanwhile, mainly because I think during this period of emergency and pandemic, what concerns me is the patchwork of regulations that are being created throughout the province. I'm happy with the provincial order. If the province sees people flocking to certain areas, then they can take steps to address that. And much the same way as they've done a Northern Ontario fire ban. I don't see the point with respect to beach usage and swimming. I mean, with the high water levels, you're not going to be swimming in that lake really until the end of July before it's warm enough to swim. And I agree with Councillor Stewart that people are very accommodating of the social distancing. As long as you're doing that and you're keeping it to groups under 5, I'm saying why even create the issue? Just leave the provincial order the way it is.
Okay, Councillor Kennedy.
Yes, there's some really good points on both sides. I'm kind of glad it was last year. I wasn't really sure which way to go, but I just like, I feel that it was going to take 2 or 3 months, and and I've seen how respectful that all the people in this municipality have been. I am going to say no to a bylaw at this time.
So for myself, I've been on some calls, so has Sharon. Yes, the province sets the provincial orders, and as it stands right now, our beaches are open. But they did also say if we wanted more specific flexibility for our regions, that's when we can have the bylaw and or other measures to be in place, because they recognize the diversity of Ontario. And so right now I'd like a clarity, and I like where we've landed. We just leave it, but the signage should be the beaches are open, so the people know they're open to everything, instead of wondering, well, why are those people in the water today, or walking along the beach, or are they supposed to be on the pier or not? There's people on the pier. So I think that that I get the feeling from council we've kind of decided on that. But in the future, from reading even our own emergency management, now maybe I'm hoping this pandemic will be the exception and we won't have a second wave. They sometimes say can be a year later or whenever. And I think I fall on the side of it would be nice to have it in our back pocket. Who knows when the second wave could hit? Sometimes they say a pandemic will be a couple of years. The second wave could come this fall. We don't know. Next winter, next spring. And I would be very happy if it didn't come at all, and that we have enough we've had enough medical advances over the last decades that the second wave will not come, but they said there's never been a pandemic without a second wave. So I agree with, I think it was Maureen that said it's nice to have a tool in our back pocket. And the question I have for Sharon is, so it can apply to other things. So if we have other emergencies, is that what you were saying, that it could apply for no matter what the emergency was?
Yeah, it's a generic bylaw that allows the closure of any municipal facilities. So it doesn't speak to beaches specifically. It speaks to municipal facilities which we may wish to close under an emergency order. So it does provide that flexibility for us to just do it. And then we've got the penalties and set fines already approved. So we could immediately start enforcing whatever closure we required for whatever specific reason we may want one.
So the bylaw is just a tool and only comes into effect when needed. And it's not just for closing beaches. Okay. So I would be in favor of having that as a tool in the future. And I think it would provide clarity. So, yes, Dave?
Is
You
it
had another question?
Is it not common sense that if there is an emergency, we would automatically have the right to say you can't go on the beach or in the water? When someone drowns, we don't let anybody go in the water. We don't need to go to all this trouble of making a bylaw for something that's, like I said, it's common sense. If there's an emergency, you do what you have to do in an emergency. It's very simple, I think.
Gary, can I say something?
Yes. Sorry, I'll just take names here of who else wished to speak. So Jerry and Maureen and Marie.
Marie, yes.
Okay, so we'll start with Jerry.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I agree with all the comments either way, but certainly we can't legislate common sense, and no matter what we think, people will just do what they need to, human nature. And I don't think the intent of this bylaw is, it takes 30, 60, 90 days to develop it and come back to us in terms of the set fines. I don't think we're looking to enforce it with COVID, but it'd be nice to have as a tool. This would have mitigated some of the awkwardnesses that we've been through for a couple of weeks of, jurisdiction issues with the beach and some other things. So this would be something that, is within our control and is within our autonomy that could be used as part of emergency management group options at the very beginning, even if we don't need to wait for a provincial order. Sometimes the province lags, and sometimes locally we have to act. That's what happened in this pandemic. Locally, we acted before the provincial order. So I just want to say that I don't think the necessary connotations to use it right now is to have it, shelve it, need it down the road if we have to have it, and if not for our benefit and purpose, maybe for future generations of council that may need this and not get bogged down by bureaucracy, because it might be 12 months next time around that there's a bylaw approved. So just want to leave those lasting comments. I think this is an ounce of prevention.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Maureen?
Yeah, I was just echo what Jerry said. I think it's a couple of councillors mentioned beaches specifically, but I think this would go beyond that. And as Sharon explained, doesn't mention beaches, in fact. But what if we had something happen locally? And I'm going to use a stupid example, but a passenger liner crashes in our park, one of our parks. That the province isn't going to do anything. That is up to us. So that's the sort of thing I would be envisioning using it for locally, because the province isn't always going to have, we're not always going to have a province-wide emergency.
Okay, Marie, thanks. Marie?
Yeah, so I just had a question for, I think probably for Sharon. So do I understand this correctly then, that this bylaw would supersede a medical officer of health order?
No, a medical officer of health order is always going to supersede a municipal bylaw. So, anything coming from the province or from public health is going to supersede us. What Dr. Arrow was saying is that he's encouraging municipalities to pass a bylaw if they choose to regulate their beaches.
Okay, so as we saw with the long weekend, we had the medical officer of health pass an order, which basically did do the trick. We didn't have throngs of people going to our beach. So in the event of something else, I'm sure that could be reenacted again. And I didn't run for council to pass a bylaw so that people can't use the beach and there are fines if they do. I'm sorry. I do not like that level at all. And I don't think it serves the public. Definitely, I think if I didn't really further understand or properly understand the medical officer's order, which I should have, but I misread some of the information. So really, it was a very effective tool to protect the municipalities. And I'm sure that could be enacted again if they felt in their scientific wisdom and with their medical knowledge and epidemiological knowledge that it was necessary. So I'm not going to support this.
Councillor Stewart?
The only reason I'm a little confused, because I always thought we had the authority to close anything at any time. What you're talking about with this bylaw there's penalties then. Like, we don't really have penalties, but we can close any park. We can close anything we want. All we do is ask the council for approval. So this bylaw would give us that right to close anything, which we already have. And then what would it do? Just allow us to do penalties if people trespass?
Okay, Sharon?
Yes, so the municipality exercises and council exercises its powers by bylaw. So in order to close anything and actually enforce it, you would do so by law. This will give you enforcement powers to have your bylaw officer out there and telling people that they have to leave and issuing tickets. So yes, you can post signs on something if you so choose, but you really don't have any enforcement teeth without a properly executed bylaw.
So Bill's right. Most of you are right. 95% of your people will comply. It's just to have as a tool in your back pocket if you get a group or individuals that don't comply, and you have it ready. The enforcement is the issue, I think, and is the tool that you have if needed, and it's ready. It's not like it takes, like some people said, why don't you have a bylaw now? Well, yes, you can have the bylaw, but if the idea is for enforcement, it won't be ready for a couple of months. So that is the tool, and it just does not apply to beaches alone. It's for, it can be used for other purposes as well. If there's vandalism or whatever, I can't think of a good example. Maybe Sharon, you can give us a good example of something else that immediately we need something closed, or we need something under control.
Well, I mean, if we were in a situation where we wanted to close a facility for some reason, or a park or whatever, you could do so under this bylaw if there was no provincial order doing so. So, I mean, we have found that with the orders that were issued provincially, that's been the easiest and most enforceable tool that we've had in the emergency. When they ordered facilities closed, we immediately closed them, and there was no question as to whether the OPP would enforce those. In the absence of a provincial order, we do need some sort of legislative authority to be able to enforce a closure of any kind on a municipal facility.
Okay, thank you. Did anybody else want to comment? Otherwise, I think we've had a good discussion. Okay. So does anybody want to put forth a motion regarding having staff look into a bylaw and bring it back, or have we just had a good discussion? If somebody wants to put forth a motion.
I would like to.
Okay, so.
I'd support that, Jerry.
Okay, and do you want to word your motion, Maureen, a little bit, or just let?
The staff bring back a bylaw to provide council with the authority, if required, to close municipal facilities in the case of an emergency, and to possibly use the sample one that Grey County has developed.
Okay, thank you. And is that fine with you, Councillor Glover?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so our clerk will proceed with the vote.
I would like this to be a recorded vote, please.
Okay, recorded vote. Just give Dawn a minute.
Councillor Couture.
Yes.
Councillor Kyler.
No.
Councillor Glover.
Yes.
Councillor Haight.
No.
Councillor Kennedy.
No.
Councillor Ropel.
Yes.
Councillor Stewart.
Absolutely no.
Deputy Mayor Wilson.
No.
Mayor Eady.
Yes.
Okay, so the yeses were Couture, Glover, Ropel, Edie. The noes were Kyler, Haight, Kennedy, Stewart, Wilson.
Okay, so the motion failed.
Yes, correct.
All right. Okay, Sharon, you had more to discuss and present to us.
Yes, so I'll move on. Just an update for council on staffing. In the water department, our business continuity plan originally divided our staff into two groups, one reporting to the workplace on a weekly rotating schedule and working from home on alternate weeks. And we've now changed this arrangement, and rather than working from home, the crews are now reporting to field on alternate weeks, and they're continuing to be segregated for business continuity purposes. We had reported back that our philosophy on staffing was to redeploy staff wherever possible, and we were delaying hiring any summer students and seasonal workers. With now the provincial restrictions being lifted on various recreational amenities and the summer maintenance season is upon us, staff is seeking permission to proceed with the hiring of some seasonal and summer student positions. Those are included in the budget. We typically wouldn't ask council's permission, but we did report to you previously that we were having some savings in terms of staff costs for not hiring some of these seasonal positions. And this would reduce the savings previously reported by the treasurer on staff wages to June 30th by approximately $22,000. So we just wanted to seek the approval to hire one landfill attendant, 4 public works students, 2 cemetery students, 2 parks students, and 1 parks worker. I think you're muted, Anne.
Okay. So we need a motion then, Sharon, to give direction to staff regarding hiring the staff you need.
Are we allowed questions?
Yeah. No, I just wanted to clarify with Sharon. Okay, so questions for Sharon? And we'll start with you, Laura, and then we'll go around.
Sharon, I'm actually kind of surprised that we don't have a listing of here's who we're thinking of hiring, here's who we're not actually hiring. With things opening up, and maybe the deputy mayor can help me out, but say the market in the park opens up July 9th or whenever. Like, we're going to need tourism students, are we not? Or are we just going to run 5 days with Kelly through the rest of the summer? Like, I get what you're saying, but I don't even know who we're not hiring.
So we have not hired any seasonal or positions or summer students at all. We're struggling to make some of these decisions because we don't understand when the opening up is going to occur. So, when Karen gives her report later, she'll be discussing some of the discussions that we've had around summer programming, and we'll be coming back with a report to council later on. So we are considering those programs that are a little further out in returning, but we have that delicate balance of, do we hire the staff right now to be able to advance some of these things and not knowing whether that opening up is going to occur, where these are activities that are currently underway. We're doing our summer maintenance activities, and we need the staff immediately. So I would invite any other of the senior managers to speak to any of their staff positions and whether they see them being required in the near future or not. But it is an ongoing discussion, and it's somewhat difficult because we don't know how these things are going to evolve.
Okay, so for now, this is your list that you know that you need for now, right? Then Sharon, the landfill attendant, public works, cemetery, park students, and 1 parks worker. So, okay. So next, Doug Kennedy. Did you have a question or anything?
No, just that I'm in favor of going ahead with hiring these people. That's it. Thanks.
Okay. And Marie?
I'm in favor of it. And as far as tourism students, I would leave that up to staff because everything is so up in the air right now as to what we're doing. So I'm sure, are there provisions to hire somebody later on if needed?
I guess if we don't secure them though, and say, I mean, you got to work with me here. Like if you don't secure these people, and now come the August long weekend, we are allowed market in the park and we are allowed a pipe band parade with modifications or something. Like you're unlikely to have the student available. So I'm just, for the 2-month period, you've already saved some funds. And maybe you don't have to hire, I think it's 3 for tourism. This is what I mean, Sharon, about the list. I don't know how many of the complement that we're not hiring. Like, I don't know how many day camp staff we're not hiring. But if we need them, then you're going to have to hire them now. And if you're not and things open up, you're going to be like, well, okay, we're not going to do it because you're not ready.
Okay, next we'll go to, sorry, who's next? Dave Kyler.
I was noticing that the grass is still growing. Everything is still going on the same as it always has every year. And even more so because we've been putting off doing the things that we should have been doing with good reason. But I think you need, like Laura says, get everybody that is going to have a job here now. And I don't know much about the tourism and how many you need for that staff, but the horticulture and the parks, as far as maintenance goes, we need everybody that's usually here at this time now. As far as the summer playground goes, I realize there'll be some changes there. There'll be people that, well, they just won't have a job for the summer, I don't think, because those things aren't going to happen. If they do, it's not going to be for quite a while yet. But as far as maintaining the boulevards, the flower beds, things like that, we have to have everybody that should have been out doing it now, not just the skeleton crew that we have. So, just my opinion.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Maureen?
I think the staff are looking at this all the time, and they have now come forward with a list of employees they wish to hire because of these amenities that are being opened. I don't think we should be looking at anything else until the staff come back with other recommendations. I don't believe we're having playgrounds this year. And tourism, I think that they can work that out amongst themselves and come back if we hire somebody. I don't think we should be going beyond the list we have now. The staff has come forward with what they think they need.
Okay, thanks, Maureen. Jerry?
I do agree with all the comments. It's maybe too bad we didn't have a bit more of a comprehensive list. That being said, I certainly want to echo Dave and some other comments. I know running a business here, and some of these kids and students can be put to work. The grass is always going to be growing. I don't know that we have enough staff to actually do all the work. We have enough work for everybody. And if there's 2 months left of the season, let's get some of these kids in, and some of these people, give them a meaningful, student wage, whatever it is, and we can continue to beautify the municipality. So I would, support this, but I'd also like to know what other areas, because, to Maureen's point, maybe not every department is going to need the students, but certainly some of the outside things. We've always complained about that. So why not do something about it while we have some downtime and have some help?
Thank you.
Mary, just if I could comment, we did invite all senior managers to discuss with HR what their current needs were in terms of hiring students, and these are the ones that were brought forward. That's not to say that as things evolve, we won't be hearing from departments again, requesting that we hire some of their students. And I think really they're just working to look at, what programs are going to start opening up. And I do understand Laura's comments with respect to it's a delicate balance. We've been trying to hold off some of these students, not knowing whether there's going to be any work for them. And there is going to become a tipping point where we either have to secure them or lose them for the season. So that's certainly a consideration, and it's discussion that will be ongoing.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Stewart.
I agree. We need to bring staff on, long as we sort of understand that, and make sure you tell the staff that they might be cutting lawns one day and doing something else the next day. We need incredible flexibility with these new staff members coming on, because they might be thrown into tourists one day, then go and cut the lawns the next day and everything. Or what could happen is we have a second wave and we close everything down. So there is a risk associated, but like Laura says, grass keeps growing and everything keeps growing. We need to add a little more staff. We'll be very cautious as we add. Just allow them and understand there's incredible flexibility, because look at the Davidson Center. Doug, I don't know if it's open or not. It might not even open for the rest of the year. Who knows? But make sure that staff is being utilized too outside and everything else. So we have to have incredible flexibility over the next 2 or 3 months. So I can support this.
Councillor Ropel.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Staff has spoken. This is what they require. The only other thing that I think I should make council aware of is that we have 2 more meetings this month, and I'm pretty sure after this discussion tonight that there will be other transactions with respect to employment come forward from staff. And if you look at the calendar, in all fairness, the kids will still be in school, high school. Yes, some of the university students will be out, but there's still time yet. And I'm very hopeful that we can bring on a full contingent of students for employment this summer. So I have faith in our staff to do the right thing and bring some more people aboard.
So since you're the last one, Randy, would you like to make the motion that we follow staff's recommendation?
Can I speak?
Oh,
again,
yes,
Madam Mayor?
sure,
Sorry.
sure.
Sorry. We have a budget for students, do we not, that we approved? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we coming back to council every time they want to hire somebody that's already in the budget? I think that we should just leave this up to staff to implement the budgeted approvals as they see fit, rather than having this conversation every time.
I think so.
Sorry.
Sharon?
Yeah, I think the reason we did bring it back was because we had reported to council that you were going to have a savings to the end of June. So we wanted to let you know that if we start to hire some students back, that savings is going to be reduced. We can't really anticipate when things are opening up. But I mean, certainly I agree with Councillor Couture. These are budgeted positions, and if council is okay with us continuing to just hire students as we see fit, and give us that authority and recognize that if we bring people on early, the savings that we had previously reported are going to be reduced, but that you're generally supportive of us getting our students back on board wherever they are needed, then we wouldn't need to bring this back further if council is willing to recognize that there may be a loss of savings, but allow us to proceed with hiring any students we see fit that are in the budget.
You could let us know the amount that we're not saving, but that would be fine with me.
Okay, so
it's Doug here, Andrew.
Doug and then Laura.
Laura, go ahead, Laura. Laura was up first.
Go ahead, Doug.
Okay. Okay, I just, I know Maureen said that she thought that the playground was not going to go this summer. To my knowledge, that decision hasn't been made. So I just want the public to know that the discussions are ongoing. A survey was done. Little new requirements are coming out from the government that staff is going through right now, and a report in the next week or two will be brought back to council about those things as they're ongoing. I just thought that's important for people to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Haight.
Well, I guess to Councillor Couture, I'd say if we had budgeted for 20 students to be hired and then staff just hired 5, then that's not within the financial priorities that we established as a council. So whilst we have, this is who we want to hire, what we're not being told is why we're not hiring this group and what are the issues with respect to bringing that other group back. And quite frankly, I do see a problem with tourism. I think when I read on social media that the farmers market is opening up or getting plans to open up again at Knott Park, then I believe our Monday market in the park could be done with some social distancing in place. And I use the Monday market quite often. And yet you're going to have somebody there full time during that Monday to make sure the social distancing applies. And you can't just flip a switch and say, okay, now the Monday market's open next week, and not have the students in place to do the bookings and to arrange for the people come down and to monitor that the social distancing is happening. So I think it's a false economy in this instance to not really examine all of the staff and the potentials. And if you wait until August, when I think much more stuff will be open up, I think you'll have lost half your staff.
Jerry Ann?
Yes.
Bang on, Laura. And just a question for Sharon. The reason, correct me if I'm wrong, Sharon, I felt pre-pandemic or COVID, I felt that staff came back, or council, we all agree that we weren't going to hire any staff going forward. Is that the reason why you're coming back? Is because you obviously have the approved budget, but we told you not to spend it, and now things are starting to loosen up, and you're just basically coming back to get approval to lift that sort of pause, is how I understand it, but am I wrong?
Need to hear Ken there.
That is correct. You know, this is the discussion we've been having around opening up, that there will be more discussions with council and more involvement with council. I think that's what council requested. We are constantly as a team evaluating what staff we need. We're conscious of the fact that there are additional costs related to pandemic, and we're trying to be fiscally prudent and try to save costs wherever possible and redeploy wherever possible. With respect to the items that Councillor Haight brought forward with the market in the park and any of those things, Karen will be reporting briefly on some of those things in the next segment of this report. And those are certainly considerations we're looking at every day in terms of what do we need for staffing. Our HR department is engaging with the students that we have offers out to ensure that, you know, they are going to be there and available. But we really have to see how all of this unfolds. And as soon as we can make those decisions and know that we're going to have work for our students, we hope to proceed. And again, with what Councillor Couture had stated, if council is supportive of us proceeding now and hiring any staff that we have in the budget, if they see fit without coming back to them, that would certainly expedite the process as things open up and allow staff to secure those students as quickly as possible.
I would support that.
Okay.
I don't disagree with that at all. That's exactly, I don't think we're in disagreement at all.
Oh, so, okay, Sharon. So I think from what I'm hearing from council, we don't need a motion. We're going to approve that staff you've got the budget now, and maybe you just report in your CAO's report as to what progress you've made and students you've hired. So we'll just.
Sorry.
Yes.
I don't want to murky, but I do like what Councillor Stewart said, that I know that there's probably a certain staff for each department, but if they could be maybe considered corporate staff, and that maybe is already the case, but maybe there's some capacity in other areas that we could share the staff between departments, but I didn't want to lose sight of that.
Right. I think that has been going on quite a bit, and that's what staff's taken into consideration as well. So we don't need a motion then, and if all of council's fine with that, just let staff use their discretion as to when and who needs to be hired as things open up.
Mary Edie, I note the hour. Is there any chance we could take a 5-minute bio break and stretch?
Yeah, so, but I just want to finish this off before I think Karen speaks. So is that Is there anybody else that says, no, we should have a motion? Otherwise, we'll just let staff proceed, and they will be hiring the ones listed first. And then if they decide they need more, they'll be moving on as things open up, or they, if they don't have existing staff to cover, then they'll have to hire more. Okay, is that all right, Sharon? Is that okay? Clear direction for you?
Yes,
all right.
That's fine.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll, it is nearly 6:30, I think, our traditional break time. So before we hear Karen, we'll take a break.
The recording has stopped.
We haven't started yet, Randy.
Are we still in on the committee of the whole, or?
Yes, we
Where
are.
are we? Yeah, we're still in the committee of the whole.
Yes.
Are we having a break?
We're having a bio break.
Oh, I had one too, but it wasn't a bio.
This meeting is being recorded.
So I think we have quorum. Randy's on, so we're good.
Yeah.
Good. So we'll go back to where we were with the CAO's report, and turn it over to Sharon. I think maybe Karen's next, you said?
Yes, that's right. So Karen will be providing an update on recreation facilities.
All right, Karen.
Okay, so we're going to be updating on 4 issues tonight. The first one is the Kincardine Marina. So if council will remember, at the May 20th meeting, you approved the opening of the launch ramps, as well as for the KYC and the marina staff to continue working on preparing the marina to be open to the public. As well, you provided permission for those who were working on their boats, access and permission to continue doing so. So due to the efforts of the KYC and the marina staff, we are pleased to report to council that over the past 12 days, significant progress has been made at the marina, including the following. They've developed staff procedures for operation during COVID-19, and these procedures have been approved by the Grey Bruce Health Unit. They've installed signage on the washrooms and the office, as well as installed plexiglass in the marina office. The gas dock, fuel pumps, and the pump out station are also ready for use with their own specific procedures for staff to follow. Plumbing issues have been addressed. Safety equipment has been installed. With regards to the lift-in, they're hoping for sometime mid-June, but they do not have a date confirmed yet. And this will accommodate the lift-in of the boats that are winter stored at the marina. There are also a number of boats that are not part of the lift-in, and the marina has confirmed to staff that they are now prepared to accommodate and accept these boats. So therefore, the staff recommendation is for council to open the Kincardine Marina effective June 2nd, 2020, which is tomorrow. So that's the first one. Do you want me to keep going, Mayor Edie?
Well, I think it might.
Okay.
Are you recommending other things that you need approval on as well?
I'm recommending one more that needs approval.
Okay, so maybe we can incorporate or do both of them together.
Okay. Second one is the Blue Water Trailer Park. So at the last meeting, there was considerable discussion on the operation and opening of the trailer park. So I've got some additional information to provide to council this evening. And to answer Deputy Mayor Wilson's earlier question, after the last meeting, yes, people were able to come in to do daily visits to check on their trailer. And by all accounts, that was very successful and many took advantage of that. So just some clarification regarding the size of the trailer sites, as that was brought up at the last meeting. There are 42 seasonal sites at the trailer park, and the smallest site size is 18 feet, and that only affects one trailer. So there's only one campsite that has an 18-foot size. The remainder of the sites are all 24 and 30-foot sizes, which should alleviate the concerns about social and physical distancing. Other guidelines that were required to be in effect before allowing seasonal overnight camping include all trailers must be self-contained with properly functioning water and sewer systems. The trailer sites are supplied with electricity. The recreational facilities must remain closed. Shared facilities must remain closed, and that includes washrooms, showers, laundry facilities, etc. Water and power to these amenities has been turned off. The operator of the trailer park also confirmed that all the above have been met, and further that gatherings of no more than 5 will be strictly enforced with the 6-foot physical distancing required. Staff have received numerous letters, phone calls, and emails from people who have seasonal sites at the trailer park. They all acknowledge COVID-19. They also acknowledge that they're adults who will follow the social distancing and the rules in the park that have been established, and really just wanting to get up to their sites and enjoy some quiet time. The operator has developed a code of conduct regarding the requirements, and she has indicated that there will be a zero tolerance policy, and anyone disregarding the requirements will be asked to leave the park. Therefore, similar to the marina, the staff are recommending that council approve the opening of the Blue Water Trailer Park to seasonal campers effective Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020, which is also tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Does anybody have any questions for Karen? Laura, we'll start with Laura, and then we'll go around again and get your questions.
Okay. Karen, I'm just curious on the shower usage. Was there no way to accommodate one at a time, any sort of shower? I just think at a trailer park, you're going to need to take a shower, even if it were an outdoor spigot and you were just wearing your swimsuit. But is that something that can be accommodated, or is that something we're waiting for later on?
I think the best answer is that's something for later on. We were wanting to get the trailer park open, so these are the requirements that we've gone by, and certainly we will be in touch with public health or whoever we need to be to see how we can get that accommodated down the road.
Thank you.
So, Doug, do you have a question?
Yes.
Or
No, just a comment that I support both these things. And Karen and I went to the park, Blue Water Park today, and she's got things really well under control down there. So I don't think anybody has to worry about anything down there. Thank you.
Marie? Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I can hear you now. Just start again, please.
Oh, okay. My questions have all been answered, and I just want to extend thanks to Karen for moving so quickly on both of these items. Had a lot of contact from the public with regards to both, so this is a really good news. Thank you to all involved.
Okay. Dave?
There is water and everything to the trailers, is there not? And sewage facilities from the trailer? Or is it the holding tanks on the trailer that they're using, or how does that work?
All the units are self-contained with properly functioning water and sewer systems. So only those that have that will be able to spend the night.
Okay, well, in that case, then that answers the shower question for Laura. So anyway, I camped for a few years. It is pretty cramped trying to have a shower in a trailer, but that's good. That's good. I think everybody that does have those facilities will be happy now.
Okay. Maureen?
No further comment. Thank you, Karen. Good news.
Okay, Jerry?
Yeah, totally support this. Thank you.
Bill?
Well done, Karen, you and your staff. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I'm like Laura. I think the community really steps up for this thing. And it's been wonderful what the management of both Marina and the Blue Water Trail has done. They understand the circumstances, and they come to the table with just full, understanding of everything. So well done all the way around. I support this 100%.
Randy?
No, I support it.
So we have the two recommendations that Karen has. I think they can be combined together. And so would you just read the recommendations again, and I'll ask then for a mover and seconder.
So if you're asking me, I would say that the motion is that council approve the recommendation to open the Kincardine Marina and the Blue Water Trailer Park effective June 2nd, 2020.
Okay, thank you. So we need a mover and seconder for this.
I can move it.
Moved by Marie and second by Laura. Okay, and I'll turn it over to Donna for the vote.
Ropel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Couture.
Yes.
Kyler.
Yes.
Edie.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Haight.
Yes.
And Kennedy.
Yes.
And the motion carried. Karen, did you have anything else?
I do. I have a couple more things, Mayor Edie.
Okay.
The next one is with regards to the summer day camp program that's been mentioned a couple of times tonight during council. So Premier Ford has indicated that people are allowed to operate day camps. However, we are still waiting for some of the guidance and restrictions to be known from the health unit, and we've been told to expect them in the near future. We also have done a survey, as Councillor Kennedy alluded to, with the parents who currently have kids in day camp to see what their feelings are. So what we're doing now is staff is compiling the survey information along with any known regulations with regards to, if we think we're going to be able to accommodate them this year or not. And we plan to compile that into a report and bring it back to the June 8th council meeting for a discussion. So that's kind of more of an update. And the last one is something that staff is looking for direction on, and it is in regards to the Saturday Farmers Market. So just again, a bit of background to council. On April the 15th, the municipality sent out notifications to groups that events that take place on or at municipal facilities have been canceled until June 30th, 2020. This includes, but not limited to, festivals, parades, sports tournaments, weddings, food markets, etc. This would include the Saturday Farmers Market that takes place down at the entranceway into Connaught Park in Kincardine. The province did deem Farmers Market as essential. However, in an April 17th document that we received by the health unit, the recommendation at the time was keeping farmers markets closed. That would be the best way to stop any spread of COVID-19. There have not been any more up-to-date documents about this, but we keep inquiring with the health unit daily on that. So it did talk about, in that same document from April 17th, that as part of any reopening plan, there were some recommendations that must be followed, and a final walkthrough had to be given by the health unit to grant approval. So that's our understanding. And then we have been approached by the farmers market for consideration to start the Saturday market in June. And I know it says that it's going to start this week. However, I did speak to the head of the organization, and that was not the intent. The intent is for them to work with council on establishing a date that the site is ready and that all the protocols are in place. So we're just seeking some direction from council tonight with regards to how you would like us to proceed with this request. Does the municipality wish to stick with the June 30th date for not allowing these types of events to occur on municipal property, given that potentially other similar requests could come forward in asking for any exemption? Or is the preferred direction to have staff work with the farmers market group to come up with the satisfactory guidelines for reopening, including a social distance site meeting, and then for staff to report back June 8th to council as to how this is going in terms of opening? So just looking from some direction, Mayor Edie.
All right. So if anybody has any comments for Karen. Okay, Laura.
Karen, I've been down to the Saturday market at Connaught, and given that we're not going to be having any ball games or anything, is there any way to expand the area? And I'm thinking even on the north side of the building where now I sound like, oh my God, I'm out here in township. On the north side of the building where they show the chickens during the fall fair, can we utilize more of that space is what I'm saying to allow the distancing to occur?
The answer would be yes, we can. And that would be part of the reason for this site meeting that they've requested to have with staff, just to see what space is available.
And just a follow-up comment. I really believe it's not like there are throngs of people going to the Saturday market. It is a great little farmer's market with some local produce there. If they can maintain the social distancing, and given that we've got that whole park to utilize, I think it's great. And yes, I could, in this instance, forgo the June 30th deadline.
All right. Anyone else have a comment, Maureen?
Yes, yeah, I agree. I think that Karen should meet with these people and come back to us next week. Minimum next week. It's getting on into June, so if the distancing can be achieved, I think then I have no problem with it, and that is a pretty big park.
Anyone else wish to ask a question or comment? Okay, so we'll give staff direction then. Have a motion. Maureen and Laura, do you want to move that we direct staff to see how quickly the farmers market can open down at Connaught Park following proper protocol and approval by the health unit? Okay.
Sure. Yep, that sounds good to me.
It's fine with you, Laura?
Yes.
All right, so we'll have a vote.
Councillor Stewart.
Definitely yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Couture.
Yes.
Kyler.
Yes.
Edie.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Haight.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Ropel.
Yes.
And the motion carried. So Karen, that's it for you. And are we back to Sharon? Or did you have anything else, Karen?
No, just to say that those were the 4 items for tonight, and we'll update on the farmers market and any others that maybe transpire during the week at the June 8th meeting.
Okay, thanks a lot, Karen. And Sharon, did you have anything more to add?
I'll just provide a very brief overview of the economic development and tourism activities. Our community development officer and tourism coordinator are working very closely with the BIA and the Chamber of Commerce to communicate with local businesses, and a lot of their focus right now is on economic recovery. They are still hosting the open business database and an information and resources section on our website. And the database is growing as the restrictions change. And they're working on an online submission process that will allow businesses to update their own information as it changes. They are also continuing the Kincardine Shop Local campaign, and they're planning out a 2020 summer campaign that highlights local businesses and their stories. On the tourism side, events and experiences, staff is working to prepare plans for events and experiences for fall and winter of 2020. With some physical distancing measures, staff is feeling that there will be opportunities, including accommodations and food packaging and physically distanced smaller events, self-guided tours, etc. And with respect to recovery, the working group is exploring ideas for business recovery, and they will report to council on a plan when it has been established. And the current marketing plans for 2020 are being redirected into recovery marketing programs. The County of Bruce Economic Development Recovery Action Plan, the county task force is still working on their recovery plan and presenting plans to county council. Our representatives from Kincardine are Rick Clark from the BIA and Daryl Perry, the the owner of Penetanguer, and the county is sending updates to our community development officer on the activities. County Council has approved a loan program in partnership with the CFDC, the Spruce the Bruce funding program increase, Tourism Innovation Lab funding increase, Starter and Summer Company program funding increase, Business Pivot Adaptation Grant. So those are the items that have been approved at County Council. And there are some items still in the report that pertain to lower tier municipalities, and staff has asked the county to leave any municipal actions to the municipality themselves, as individual lower tiers have their own and different needs. So that is essentially my report, and I would take any questions from council.
Hey, Sharon, I just wanted to say that some of the mayors also suggested that the municipal part should be taken out. And then I noticed it was still referred to in one of the reports. So that's something we'll probably be discussing again this week. Anyway, so any questions for Sharon on the rest? Marie, we'll start with you.
Just wanted clarification on whether or not the minutes from the county group are going to be part of our consent agenda.
Yes, I believe so. I think Jenna has spoken to the county, and they will be included on the consent agenda going forward.
Okay, and I know the Economic Development Committee hasn't met, of course, because of the COVID, and we haven't had an electronic meeting or anything, but it would maybe be good to have an update on all of this stuff for that group at some point in time, since they're involved in economic development and tourism as well. That's a great suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
We can certainly do that.
Okay, Councillor Stewart.
Deputy Mayor Wilson, we've actually, Doug Kennedy, Councillor Kennedy and I have asked Barb Fisher to join us on June 8th, and she's going to talk about these programs. And I think at that time, we'll expand that and really have an opportunity to talk about all the ins and outs and what went on and everything. So I'm going to hold my comments till June 8th because Barb is going to be joining us and give us an update.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. So if there's nothing else, I think, Sharon, thank you very much. A very complete report. Thanks. 6.3C, this is the addition to the agenda. So Councillor Kennedy.
I think there's an outdoor patio policy.
Oh, sorry. We have to have the outdoor patio policy first. Missed it, sorry. Okay, so the outdoor patio policy, we'll have, I think it's Michelle will give this report, or is it Sharon? I can't hear you, Sharon.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Okay, so perhaps Deputy Mayor Wilson may want to weigh in on this as well, because I believe she has been involved in some discussions with the BIA. But there is a letter included in your package from the BIA requesting some amendments to the outdoor patio policy. Staff has reviewed the policy and they do not feel that the policy needs to be amended, but they are recommending that council waive the fees in order to obtain a permit for the year 2020. And this is in anticipation of restaurants being able to open, and with physical distancing requirements, that patio space would be desirable, and being able to move that out onto the street. And so there are some requirements in the policy around the fees. So there's a $200 fee for first-time applicants, and a second time and subsequent applicant fees are charged $200 plus a lease rate of 25 cents plus taxes per square foot per month. And engineering certificates may be required for certain structures if there were structures there where the patio would be constructed on the street. And they are also requesting expedited processes for municipal approval for these things. So, staff is certainly willing to work with business owners to be able to facilitate these types of patio construction and allowing them to be able to expand their business onto the street. Staff is also looking at the potential and engaging businesses for closing Queen Street for the season to see whether businesses would be impacted by that, and will be reporting back in the future. And the reason for that closure would be to allow those walkable spaces and physical distancing, and to allow further opportunities for people to use the street for selling their wares. So we are requesting that council waive the fees, and we'd be happy to take any questions.
So I'm going to let Marie speak first, and then Laura, because Marie is our BIA person.
I'd like to speak too.
Okay.
Sorry, who else?
Maureen.
Okay.
So thank you, Mayor Eden. So just a couple of comments. This is a glasses half full proposal. It's very exciting, and basically the BIA is unanimous in its support for this, and it's really an initiative for the businesses to help them mitigate some of the very negative economic effects that they've experienced because of the COVID-19. So of course, capacity is going to be affected when they finally do get to reopen because of the social distancing. So it's obvious a patio would be of benefit from that aspect. And I'd also note it's not just restaurants either. Retail can, or other businesses can also make application under this as well. So you have that aspect of it, but then you also have the aspect of it that, if you can just imagine, you have quite a few facilities downtown, and they've all got patios and beautiful summer nights. Everybody loves a patio, and it could really be, the beginning of maybe perhaps a rebranding effort, or an effort just to really make the downtown dynamic and exciting. And when I say downtown, I'm also extending it out to other commercial areas and downtowns. So this is something that could be a very exciting initiative. And I also think that the municipality should get behind it as much as possible. I know Doug and I had a bit of a conversation with it, and Doug had suggested some ideas around perhaps if we have extra tables and chairs and picnic tables and things that aren't being used because other events have been canceled, perhaps we could help some of them out with some of this equipment if possible. And hopefully we can expedite the process as quickly as possible, because nobody knows when the order is going to be lifted, but it's prudent that everything be in place. And sometimes these things take a bit of time. So let's really, as a community, get behind this. It's a community, it's for the benefit of the community. You can imagine that not everybody is going to be taking their traditional vacations, and there'll probably be a few more staycations this summer. So, hopefully a lot of the locals will enjoy some of these patios and experience these areas, maybe like they've never experienced them before. So anyway, this is a great initiative, exciting initiative, and I hope we all support it.
Okay, thanks, Marie. Laura?
I do support it, the expansion of the patios and the waiving of the fees for sure. I want to throw in another suggestion, because I am cognizant of the fact that certain businesses take deliveries and they're not able to take deliveries in the rear of their buildings. I want you to consider, if you will, if Thursday, Friday, Saturday evenings from say 5 till whenever we shut down the street, if that's an option that works. And that way the restaurants, Gray Matter, any of the clothing shops, any of those could actually set up on the street. And we shut it down every Saturday night anyway. So I'm just talking about adding Thursday and Friday so that it becomes a pedestrian mall in the evening of the weekends. Just a thought. Hope you consider it.
And Maureen?
Yeah, to that street closure, we did receive an email from Jennifer Laurie about the accessibility committee. There was this proposal, I suppose, brought forward, and I haven't really canvassed to see what they all said. I certainly have no problem with it. And I think the proposal was July and August completely, with an emergency route right down the middle. I support that. Anything we can do to help the businesses. I think right now all they're asking us for is the patio and the fee waiving, which I totally support. But I was just wondering if we can look at like the whole summer.
Okay, thanks, Maureen. Jerry?
I totally support this 100%. I even 100% support the Councillor Haight, you know, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, such a short stretch. And I think it would really help increase the marketability. If we were hypothetically to, and this might be for another day, hypothetically close the street for those couple hours, would we like to down the road also consider licensing that section of the street? So if you have a beverage, you can walk and check out other people's wares. I think that's just sort of, if we're closing down the street, I think we might just have it as a big catch-all, and it'd be maybe a bit of a tourist draw where you can take your drink and walk up and down the street and buy some merchandise or listen to some music. But I would add that as a friendly member, or separately it can come back a standalone.
All right, discussion for another evening. Anybody else regarding this? So I too think we should do whatever we can for our businesses. They've had it really tough, and I support it. And I think when the Queen Street Bridge, I was telling Marie, when the Queen Street Bridge is closed, this is an excellent opportunity for us to close down the street, maybe even more. We can discuss it again, and see how it works, and the benefits. And it could be a really good, this summer could be a really good pilot project. So that's good. Was there anybody else, Marie?
Yes, I just wanted to respond to Councillor Haight's comments about the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So the BIA is certainly still looking at a number of factors around this. And so just so you know, they are proposing that perhaps it could either be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And the whole reason behind the Monday would be to, if the market gets open again, would be to extend that market perhaps down Queen as well. So there's a number of details that obviously still have to be discussed. I just wanted to address those comments that were made.
Marie, was there any discussion on delivery trucks and how that would impact?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those are things that we would have to look at as well as accessibility. Yes.
Okay, so we've had a good discussion. Let's go to the recommendation that council waive the fees in the TP 1.2 outdoor patio policy required to obtain a permit for the year 2020. So I'll turn it over to Donna.
Okay, it's moved by Laura Haight, seconded by Dave Kyler. Wilson.
Yes.
Couture.
Yes.
Kyler.
Yes.
Edie.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Haight.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Ropel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
And the motion carried. So next, Doug, 6.3C, that's where you are.
Okay, this is something that I've noticed over the last few months with Renfrew County, reading and seeing some things on TV, seeing doctors talk about it, paramedics out in the field in communities that they couldn't get doctors for. And a lot of other municipalities are looking into what they're doing, and even other countries are looking into what they've been doing in Renfrew County. So I called Jerry on Saturday about it just to see if he had heard about it before, and you know, and it could. I understand through different people that it will save some money with our emergency unit up at the hospital and different things that is affected. So, do you mind if I get Councillor Glover to comment next?
The County of Bruce is looking at that, and they can't remember the last time they did a presentation, but we haven't had a presentation since the COVID-19. But the whole concept of paramedicine and what paramedics can do is being looked at by the county, just so that the rest of you know that. But yes, Jerry wants to comment. That's fine.
Yeah, thanks. This is an amazing and worthwhile initiative that Doug's onto. In Grey County, they ran a pilot that was successful and now has base funding. And they, in the city of Owen Sound, not yet in the rural areas, they have this community paramedic service. And really, the cost savings, so $1 invested in community paramedicine is a cost avoidance to the system of $500. And what they do is they help you reduce the emergency room visits and hospital admissions. And they go out into the field to the chronic disease patients, and they can do like congestive heart failure and diabetes. And the eyes near the primary care team can load rate everything up into the patient's chart. And to the mayor's comment, when Betty Ann Cobain, I believe when she was the interim CEO, I met with her as the co-chair of Ontario Health for Grey Bruce, and she mentioned that she was behind this, and the new paramedic service that's now standalone under Bruce was supportive of this. So I would be interested to see what comes from that for the county level, but certainly with our aging population, this is certainly a great dollar of investment, considering the upstream is a huge cost avoidance to the system. So great job, Doug, for bringing this forward.
So just Jerry, since I just always had one question. So then the community nursing would be eliminated if you had paramedics do it, you know, the trips to the home, because then that would come under paramedics. That's just my one question. It would save money of having community nurses then.
This would be a bit separate, as I understand it, whereby the paramedics can take a medical directive and do some of the higher function that may not necessarily be maybe delegated to with respect to an RPN and somebody that may have a bit more of an advanced emergency training to go out for that diagnostic ability. So as I understand it, the community nursing would be different and apart. Paramedics are charged with monitoring chronic disease management. In some instances, are even going out to the community and rating people's mental health care and providing them appointments with primary care. So it's a bit different, but you're right, a bit similar, but would not be the same scope essentially from home care nursing.
So you wouldn't have the community nursing people going in and then the paramedics going in. There would be no overlap. I was just wondering if in Grey County what they found on that, and I don't need to know now, but that was just a question that we can discuss another time. So Doug, or Maureen, did you have anything more?
That I would like a staff report on this, if that's possible.
So the staff report, I think that's really not our paramedicine is not really ours. It's the county level. Like the paramedics are. I think the county will be bringing back a staff report to the county level, and the paramedics are all under the county. So I don't think that's our staff's expertise, but I can let Sharon speak to that.
No, I agree. It's not their expertise. I'm just thinking they could expedite some kind of a presentation to council. That's all.
Okay.
So do you, is the direction for us to engage with the county, or is there, I'm not really sure, as Mary Edie said, it is not our jurisdiction, it is county jurisdiction. So
I guess if council's interested, Sharon, we could have Steve Schaus or somebody from the paramedics come, because they have been exploring that and have gone to information sessions on it. But we haven't had an update. I can't remember when we talked about it at county. So if council wants to hear more about paramedicine, that's fine. I'm sure the county people will be happy to give a report and come over.
Can I also add something, Anne?
Yes.
Steve Schaus, that'd be perfect to come and talk to council, and also maybe a bit related and unrelated. No, Steve can speak from the county, but knowing that Barb Fisher's coming on June 8th, she is through the Community Development Corporations. They have, led the way through Health Services Inc. in terms of home monitoring and community paramedicine, and they certainly have a plethora of data, especially out of the Waterloo, Wellington. So maybe when she's coming next week to talk, and there could be some capacity for her to touch base from a high level in terms of the benefits and local demographics that we'd be talking to. I know that we don't have anything to do with the county level, but as a transfer payment agency up to the upper tier, it might be worthwhile for us to have a sense of the local conditions and maybe the demographics that these funding the dollars for community medicine would really sort of, go after or target our population. But just adding that, but I do know that Barb Fisher is also in the space through Health Services Inc. with her fellow CDFCs.
Okay, I've actually been to one of those presentations, but it's been a while ago. It's always good to have an update. Okay, so Doug, is that satisfactory? We'll ask for an update from the county and see if Barb can just give a brief one.
Yes, that's fine. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So next, the county council update. I'm just going to finish up from last week. There's all sorts of good things going on in the community, people supporting each other, doing positive things. And another company that contacted me, we had a little phone call, was the Armo Wind Farm. And Pattern 2 has stepped up with efforts to support our community. So I just thought I'd mention them. They work through the Bruce Steakhouse to deliver 50 lunches to healthcare workers. They donated $5,000 to our hospital, who in turn gave $50 gift cards to their workers and for our local restaurants. And they made a donation to Home and Community Support Services for Meals on Wheels, like we did. And they will continue to support local businesses with their own supplies and any other way they can through the COVID crisis, like when they're purchasing their supplies. Their priority is going to be local businesses. Pardon? Am I okay? All right. And also, they have their local sponsorship program, and it continues to operate. So maybe some of those local charities that aren't aware of it, they still have that program as well. So they just wanted to give that information to council and to the community from the Armo Wind Farm. So for your information, the contact person is Rob Boak. And if you need his phone number, his work phone number, it is under the Armo Wind Farm. If you have any problems, you can just contact me. But it should be there on their website or for information. So that's all I have for tonight for report. And on the consent agenda, of course, are various reports from the county and the health unit anyway. So you should be fairly well informed. Does anybody have anything else from the consent agenda? Yes, Laura?
I read the thing on testing, the enhanced testing that's going to be taking place. And I heard Premier Ford speak, I don't know when it was. I'm losing track of days. But I get the impression that we're all supposed to go get tested. And then I read this note, and it's only if you're exhibiting one of these, and I'm going to say nebulous symptoms, because man, if you haven't been tired, then I don't know what you're doing during pandemic. But are we all now supposed to be going out and getting tested? And secondly, just to alert the public, once that testing happens, our number of cases is going to increase, which is actually a good thing because now we can track and trace. But I'm just confused on what the Premier said and what this notification said.
So from Dr. Era, and Sharon, you can chime in because you've been on those calls. But he said, if you've been in contact, of course, with somebody who definitely has tested positive, then you need to be tested. Or if you feel you've got symptoms, whether it's 1 or 5 or however many symptoms, they've expanded the symptoms now, go get tested if you want. But Dr. Era said that if you're feeling healthy and you go get tested, and they kind of know this from having mandatory testing of all staff at nursing homes, and I'm not sure I'm explaining it properly, but they kind of learned that if you're not exhibiting symptoms, then you can have false positives. And of course, then you have to go into isolation, and then they have to contact everybody you've been in contact with, etc. And then you have to wait till your second test, and they're finding sometimes then you didn't have it at all. So there's a certain risk of unnecessary testings, but without a doubt, they want you to go. If you are not feeling well and you think this is more than something I usually have, and yeah, it might just be a touch of the flu or something, but they encourage you to go. But if you're feeling healthy, you don't see any change. That is what I got from the conversations I've been on with Dr. Era. Sharon, do you have anything to add to that, or were you on for those particular ones? I can't remember.
Yes, I was on, and I think you've summarized it very well, that testing asymptomatic people does run the risk of false positives, and there are ramifications from that as well. So Dr. Era does not see testing expanded to asymptomatic people as the silver bullet.
So that's the latest advice we have in what they're discovering. And like I say, it's uncharted territory, and I just kind of go with what the medical people say, and that's the latest advice we've had from our health unit. But good question. It is confusing because, you know, it changes as they discover more. So did anybody else have anything from the consent agenda? Okay. So I have a motion. I take it to adjourn the committee of the whole.
Yes, it's moved by Randy Ropel, seconded by Bill Stewart, that this committee of the whole adjourn at 7:17 p.m. Couture.
Yes.
Kyler.
Yes.
Edie.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Haight.
Yes.
Kennedy. Kennedy.
I know, yes, sorry.
Ropel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
And the motion carried. So we're now adjourned, and we go to matters arising from committee of the whole.
So
yes, Donna.
Excuse me. The first one is the consent agenda, and it's moved by Bill Stewart and seconded by Jerry Glover. Kyler.
Yes.
Edie.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Haight.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Ropel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Couture.
Yes.
And the motion carried.
And the next one is the supply of the 2 1-ton trucks. And it's moved by Marie Wilson and seconded by Doug Kennedy. Edie.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Haight.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Ropel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Couture.
Yes.
Kyler.
Yes.
And the motion carried.
And the next one is the supply and installation of 2 dump bodies. It's moved by Dave Kyler and seconded by Laura Haight. Glover.
Yes.
Haight.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Ropel.
Yes.
Stewart.
We're not going to dump bodies, are we? Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Couture.
Yes.
Kyler.
Yes.
Edie.
Yes. And the motion carried.
The next one is the fire department tanker. So this was as per the recommendation with the addition of the 65,000 for the training building completion funding to be set aside and will only be provided when plans have been presented and approved by council. Oh, I have to get my line here. Haight.
Yes.
Kennedy.
You didn't have
Yes.
a mover and seconder.
Oh, if I didn't say it, it was moved by Maureen Couture and seconded by Randy Ropel. Thank you for that. So Haight, Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes,
and Glover.
Yes.
and the motion carried.
The next one is the COVID, the outdoor patio policy, and it's moved by Jerry Glover and seconded by Bill Stewart. Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes,
Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
and did I start with Doug?
Yes.
Yes.
and the motion carried.
And the final one for matters arising is the marina and the trailer park opening. And it's moved by Doug Kennedy and seconded by Marie Wilson. And Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes,
Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
and the motion carried. That's the last one, Donna?
It is correct.
So I forgot to ask this. Sharon, just for clarification, our signs that will be taken down and our beaches are now open. Is that what we landed on?
Yes, as per the clarification given by Inspector Miller on Friday, there's more clarity than was even provided in the All Chiefs memo previously, which indicated they were closed and only open for walkthrough purposes. This latest clarification does not have any restrictions attached to it.
Right. So then that will happen tomorrow. That our beaches are formally open again.
Yes, so we'll just have to update our signage. So, you know, staff usually has to have all of that printed and laminated and get out there and post it. So it'll take a little bit of time, but we will strive to get it done as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure. And so we have members of council general announcements, and I will start with Councillor Glover.
Oh, perfect. I was going to chime in earlier, so this is perfect. I just wanted to say appreciation and recognize Inspector Miller and the OPP for really working with the municipality during this sort of great area and having that symbiotic relationship. So to Inspector Miller and over to Councillor Haight for leading the Police Services Board. Thanks to everybody involved, and hopefully we can get back to some type of normalcy and people can enjoy the outdoors.
All right. Councillor Couture.
I'm just pleased to announce that the Accessibility Committee will be meeting by Zoom at a regular meeting next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and we're very pleased about that.
All right. Councillor Kyler.
Not really a whole lot. Everybody, I'm sure, knows that SMART got their grant from the federal government and the provincial government. We are in the process of setting up an order for some new equipment. We're tossing around maybe doing a few different things with the equipment, but everything's moving along quite well. Financially, we're much better off than we were a few months ago, so somebody's smiling on us.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Wilson. Oh, I can't hear you.
Yes, okay, so the Environment Committee is also getting back to work. They're going to be having their first Zoom meeting on Wednesday afternoon. So everything is almost starting to feel like we're getting back to a little bit of normality. So let's just keep it going. Anyway, stay safe, everyone.
Okay, and Doug?
Yes, just a couple things. Our Sports Wall of Fame committee is going to send out a press release on Wednesday to announce all the people the new inductees on the wall for this year. The banquet will be sometime at a later date. I'd like to give a special shout out to Marie and the BIA and Sonia and Rick Clark for the amazing job that they're doing with the things that we're looking forward to downtown. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Laura?
I just want to say, people, it feels better, but we still have to keep the social distance and absolutely no more groups larger than 5. I saw one little gathering and it was like they all thought that they were 5 families, so it really only kept with the people under the same roof. But it's going to be 5 individuals, so you can't just have 4 families get together and think you're under the limit, because that's still 20 people. So social distance, groups under 5, wear a mask when you're outside in enclosed places. I would say wear a mask at Sobeys. So keep strong, everyone. We'll do it.
All right, Councillor Ropel.
Stay safe, folks. That's it.
And Councillor Stewart.
Yeah, I'd like to take a moment to thank the Tiverton Lions. Last Thursday, they wanted to honor our local heroes in Tiverton. So we gave each one of the Tiverton Manor employees a $25 gift certificate, usable at 21 Chopsticks, Pat's Pizza, or the King's Pearl. So we just wanted to personally honor. Great job they've been doing. So congratulations to each one of them. And thank you very much for the Lions for putting that together.
Okay, and for me this week, I'd like to thank our emergency control group. We meet every Wednesday, and all our staff that are assigned to emergency management are on that group, as well as the mayor's always on, our deputy mayor, and our policy chair for emergency services. So we do have good council representation to that group, which is responsible for monitoring and making suggestions and, with the operations under a declaration of emergency. And they're very good to attend. As I said before, they are our partners like the county and the health unit, the Red Cross, the police. Somebody else was thanking the police. They're busy people. They have other jurisdictions, but they make time for our call. So it's really appreciated. And so there, Sharon, did you have anything?
No, Mayor Edie, I have nothing tonight.
Okay. So next, we'll move into closed meeting. Did you want to take another little break before our closed meeting? Just raise your hand. Or do you want to keep going? Okay, a break just before closed meeting? Okay. We'll move into closed meeting, and then we have to take a little break anyway just to get our setup going. So we'll try for 5 minutes. So
it's moved by Laura Haight, seconded by Dave Kyler, that we move into closed for the purpose of considering a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization, and a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, or financial information that belongs to the municipality or local board and has monetary value or potential monetary value. And that is Bruce Telecom. And the second item is personal matters about an identifiable individual, and that's a physician recruitment candidate. So for voting, Stewart.
Yes.
Wilson.
Sorry, yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes.
Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel.
Yes.
And the motion carried. We'll take a short break now.
Can I just remind people to keep your Zoom on because we have to go back onto it when we rise from close. But just
But the video goes off, right?
video and audio, yeah.